Alright, so let's see here. I don't really know what to say, and maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe I just need to be more comfortable with the camera and just saying something. We can always edit this. We never have to use this. But it's just one of these things where, so I write Grero. I thought, okay, we're going to get some masculine guys together. We'll throw a ball around. Maybe we'll write some more stuff, but we'll meet up in the real world. I'll meet up with some other people, like-minded people. It's always been it's been kind of difficult, shall we say. You know, I just find a lot of people are kind of normies, well, they do the 9-to-5 job. I could never do that. You know, I quit college, started a business, and it just seems like people are okay with what is, for me, quite mediocre. With what is just not pleasant, you know, this 9-to-5 stuff or having a job. You know, I quit college and I started a business, and it was very open-ended. You know, the idea was, well, do we want to go into that? I don't know. The point is, people just do normie stuff. They do that, and it's just boring, you know? It just doesn't seem very interesting. And I thought, okay, writing Grero means that, hey, I have to look at some books, I have to look at some sources, so you're already factoring out kind of people who are not that intellectually curious. And, okay, that's a good start. But it didn't go anywhere. Despite me wanting to advertise all this, it just did not go anywhere. And then what do I do now? Because we're, you know, and that's not it. That's not the only thing I want. So it's like, if for something as relatively superficial as, hey, you know, let's have masculine guys together who aren't stupid, who might like each other, hey, you know, you never know. If that's impossible to get together and get something going, then all the other stuff I want, you know, that would just restrict it even more. So it's like if you have, I don't know, let's say 100 people who like X, and then you say, all right, how many people like X and Y? Well, that's 50. And then Z, well, that's 20, right? So the numbers go down. But if you start with 0, like, no one really showed up. I got a couple emails, you know. And, like, where's the next step? You know? It just seems like, you know, one example I've used is, well, okay, so you got all these, I don't know, Chinamen, is that politically correct to say these days? I don't know, and I don't care. But you got like 1.5 billion of them. They're on the other side of the world for the most part, and I don't care. Like, they do their thing over there, and great. I just want to do my thing, you know? What exactly does that even look like? But it's like, I can't even get started with that. On this, what I would consider a pretty foundational thing, having a sort of, you know, fraternity of like-minded people, smart enough. You'd think like, okay, it doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't even have to be a majority. It doesn't even have to be millions. It's like there isn't anybody, you know? And that's why I just stopped doing a lot of those videos. What's the point? You know, I put them out there, I put this out there, I advertised it, so tens of thousands of people saw it, but nobody was all that interested. A few people were interested enough, I guess, to send me an email. Ooh, my hand. And, you know, that's basically it. A few people were interested, and that's it. There wasn't some great awakening. There wasn't some great anything behind it. You know? So what do? No one's interested in this, and, you know, so what do? And, you know, I guess I could put out more personal stuff, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do now. But that's like the hopelessness of it, which is, I'm fairly certain this is going to work out, you know? I'm fairly certain that I put stuff like this, and maybe the production's value is a little better. Maybe it's not some random guy walking around in the middle of the night. You know, I imagine the lighting is not the best, but okay, whatever. I don't think those would be just such marginal improvements, and I just don't see a path to what I want. This is going to make my arms very strong, I can imagine. Let's see here. So it's this kind of hopelessness where it's kind of like a chess game. I was thinking about this the other day, and that was the analogy I wanted to use, which is, you know, in chess you can see a couple moves ahead, and you know, it feels like it's kind of checkmate. Like it's not inevitable, but I can't see any other move where this is even remotely successful, or what can be considered successful, where I get what I want. It's just I don't see, because the other problem is, okay, I thought I'd throw the Grero thing online, I'd put it up there and whatever, but I would have guessed other people have similar things somewhere else. Like most people might not want to, you know, put up a giant manifesto or something, but they're actively doing stuff like this, you know? They're getting together, they're talking about these sort of issues or what. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case. I thought just putting it out there, I could find some people. Or some people could be like, oh, it's already happening over here, and go visit these people. Well, this isn't happening anywhere, you know? And it's like, well, okay, that's kind of miserable, you know? So, and that's a mosquito. So what exactly is it that I do? It just feels hopeless, and I can't do anything. I'd love to do stuff. I'd love to pour all my time and energy into it, but what is it that I do? You know, I can put more videos out like this. I can talk about some stuff. You know, I can look at some of the books I did for Grero, go into it in deeper depth, but no one's really interested. You know, if people are not interested in, I guess, Grero as the book, you can look at it as a sampler pack, because a lot of it is just quotes from other places, right? But if people are not interested in that, why would they be interested in depth about anything else in it, right? I also would have wanted other people to be like, oh, I read this book too, and oh, well, you know, I did these videos on it, or oh, well, I'll do them now, or hey, you know, let's compare notes or whatever. Well, guess what? That didn't happen either. So no one's interested in this fundamentally. And then what do? It's not... You know, it's just like, what do? There's a couple of things I'm interested in that were, you know, I alluded to some parent stuff, psychology stuff. I don't see my parents. I think they're human garbage. I can talk about that, I guess. You know, there's some other things, but it's like I just don't see a path to anything that is worth really fundamentally living for. You know, it just seems kind of boring. What people say they find meaning in, what people say is meaningful to them, or, you know, whatever. I just don't really get off on that. It just seems so boring, you know? And the 1 or 2 or 3 things that I kind of want to talk about, it doesn't seem like anybody else wants to talk about. And it's not even talk about, you know? It's actually do stuff in the real world about. You know, do we want to go off on Social Security? Do you want to go off on my libertarian rant? Well, okay, so the quickest way to understand this is, right, like, look at your paycheck or whatever, you know? And it's like, there's this one organization that gets to tell you 15% of your paycheck is theirs, and you can't opt out of it. Now, if this ever happened in the private sector, you would call that extortion, you would call that all sorts of horrible things. But, oh, it's the government, and oh, it's for grandmas, so, whoa, it's okay. And that's Social Security, right? And then, you know, there's a couple libertarians. You had somebody like Ron Paul running. So there's a bit of interest. But then nobody does anything about it, you know? It's like, you know, the U.S. government spends, what, $4 trillion? $1 trillion of that is Social Security. It's like, why doesn't anybody have a fundamental objection to this? It's like, you're being robbed, assholes, you know? Like, nobody feels it. Yeah, you can give them all the good arguments, 10 ways from Sunday, and there's a few people who get it, but again, it's not enough to actually change anything. So it's like, I don't even want to talk about these things. When do we do this shit? Well, same thing with the Grero thing. I love to talk about it, but when do we, you know, meet up and, I don't know, throw a fucking ball around? When do we, you know, that sort of thing. And yeah, I guess that's part of it. Is where do you know, you make one step in front of the other, but what are the steps that are good? Again, it's like a chess game. You know, I move here, well, then it's going to move here, then it's going to go here, and checkmate. And pointless, you know? And it's pointless. So, I don't I don't really see what I can do, you know? I don't think not finding anything meaningful, I don't think it's totally inevitable. I just don't see a way out, you know? I don't really see anything satisfactory arising, right? And that sucks. That's not good. But, and that's, again, I mean, just to repeat it, and I don't know. So, I haven't done these videos. I haven't done anything in a few years, except the few stuff I'm putting up now. But I haven't done anything because what's the point? So I can see, okay, I put this up, I put that up, and then what do I get out of it? Like, I can forecast enough. I'm not that stupid, you know, to say, well, oh, I'll put this up, and then what? Like, where is the real life result in this? All right? So again, I thought other people must be doing something like this somewhere else, right? Even if it's not, I can't find it apparently, it doesn't show up in Google or whatever, but if I put it out there, it's like a warning flare or something like that, then hey, other people will see it, and not everybody, but okay, there will be enough people who see it who say, all right, well, we're doing something similar, let's check this out. I thought I'd be traveling around talking to people, you know, and no, you know. Instead, I am just stalking the night here. Night Prowler. That's what we're going to call these episodes, right? And look at that. Is this water at midnight here? Watering the lawn and bushes. So anyways, I'm not sure what to... So it's just kind of the... I wouldn't even say frustration anymore. I mean, it's still sometimes there, right? But it's not so much frustration as it's just the acceptance that this isn't going anywhere. And what do I do? And what the fuck do I do? You know? Okay, now I do have to, more wildlife needs to be distracting me. Because these birds always show up here. There's like one of them. Let's see here. They're generally out by the... Okay, well, we can't see very much of it. They're generally out by the swamp, and there's maybe like one bird that comes here, and every couple blocks you see one. I don't know what's up with them. You can generally go pretty close to them as well, at least when they're not in the swamp. I don't know if they're lost or something, but anyways, I think that's is this straight? Yes, I think that's it. I mean, this is kind of a sample video. Maybe I'll put it up, maybe not. It's kind of good to get a little bit of, to get comfortable with at least the setup here. And I think that's it for now.